Good evening, class. So now let's move on and continue our discussion with Chapter 8, Exclusions from Gross Income. So last time, natapos tayo sa fourth miscellaneous item under exempt from taxation, which is prizes, awards, in athletic sports competition. So this time, continue na natin. No? So let's move on sa number 5. Number 5, okay. Medyo naglalaglan tayo. Ayan. So, fifth natin item sa miscellaneous items under exempt from taxation is what they call contributions to GSIS, SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and Union Dues. So, if you are working for a company na kasi, no, you will be having contributions like SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and another one is the union dues, which is under mandatory contributions, no? So we have here si employee may part siya na babayaran or iko-contribute, and then si employer meron din babayaran or iko-contribute. So yung share ni employee dun sa premium contribution niya for GSIS, SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig is in effect exemption or exclusion from taxation. Okay? Kapag employee share. Pero merong exception dan na kapag yung certain employee kasi, yung contribution niya, in effect kasi ang contribution is percentage siya ng basic salary mo and something like that, no? So, if si employee gusto niyang taasan pa yung contribution niya, in excess dun sa mandatory monthly contribution niya lang talaga. So, yung excess po doon is hindi na siya makakasama or hindi na dun mag-extend yung exception niya sa taxation. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, exempted lang po is yung employee share sa premium contributions na hindi excess sa mandatory monthly contributions. So, in effect, mandatory monthly contributions lang talaga. Okay? While yung employer share naman sa premium contribution ng GSIS, SSS, PhilHealth is a deduction against gross income. So, hindi siya exempt from taxation, but it is a deduction against gross income, which will be discussed in the following chapters after our midterms. Okay? So, that's our fifth item. So, next item natin is employers' contributions to pera or personal equity retirement account. Okay? So, yung ano ba yung pera, ma'am? Yung pera kasi, wala tayo nun, Charis. Yung pera, it is a contributor's voluntary retirement account established from qualified contributions of contributor and or his employer for sole purpose of being invested in qualified pera investment products. So from the word itself, sabi na no, contributors voluntary retirement account. So si employee, pwede kasing uh, mag-enter siya or sa isang voluntary retirement account na in which yung funds na mapupunta doon kasi is i-invest din sa pera investment products to earn for their benefit. Now, so bali si employer kasi pwede siyang magbigay ng benefit sa employee niya na meron siyang i-contribute doon sa pera na account ni employee. Pero sabi nga dito sa libro natin, no, under page 266, ang gamit natin is Income Taxation by Mr. Rex Banggawan, 2023 to 2024 edition, no? So sabi doon, employers may contribute daw to the pera account ni employee. Pero, still, required pa rin siya na mag-contribute dun sa SSS contributions and retirement benefit ni employee under labor code. Kasi, ibig sabihin, yung pera kasi po ay hindi naman talaga yung mandated ni labor code o ni law na dapat merong ganong i-contribute si employer. Yun po kasi ay, ano lang yun, parang additional benefit if gustong ibigay ni employer. So, related to that, so sabi doon po, no, sabi dyan, yan, employers' contributions to pera, sabi dyan, are exclusions in the gross income of the employee. Pero sabi doon, only to the extent of the amount that would complete the maximum allowable contribution. Okay? And then sabi din doon, the pera contributors or si employee are allowed to claim 5% of their pera contributions as tax credit against any internal revenue tax but their contribution is taxable. So, sige, continue natin. So, we have here illustrations no related dito. So, sabi dito, meron daw employee. So, nag-contribute siya ng 60,000 dun sa pera account niya. So, si employee, nag-contribute 60,000. And then, sabi doon, si employer daw nag-contribute ng another 50,000 sa pera account ni employee. Okay? Moving forward, so dun kasi di ba na-mention kanina, meron daw up to the extent ng amount na makakapagpa-complete dun sa maximum allowable contribution ng isang employee. So meron kasi tayong dalawang limit or maximum contribution na pwede i-contribute. So kapag OFW ka po, 200,000 pesos yung maximum allowable contribution, while kapag non-OFW naman, 100,000 naman siya per year. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, up to the amount na makakapagpakompleto ng contribution na up to this limit, yun lang yung pwedeng maging exclusion sa gross income na kinontribute ni employer. So, moving back dun sa ano natin, illustration. So, sabi si employee nag-contribute 60,000 and then si employer naman nag-contribute doon ng 50,000. So, ano kayang epekto niya kay employer tsaka kay employee? So, tingnan natin yung rationale or yung analysis dito sa illustration na to. So, sa part ni employer, so kapag siya si employer can claim as deduction daw yung kinontribute niya dun sa pera account. Pero, 40,000 pesos lang. Bakit po? Kasi, 'di ba nakalagay diyan, ang non-OFW 100,000 per year lang yung maximum allowable contribution. Eh sabi dun sa problem, nag-contribute siya ng 60,000 pesos si employee. So, ibig sabihin, 40,000 na lang mapupuno na yung 100,000. So kung nag-contribute si employer 50,000, ang exclusion lang sa gross income ni employee and then sa part ni employer as deduction is up to 40,000 lang. Kasi yun lang yung amount na nagpa-complete dun sa 100,000 since non-OFW assumption natin dito sa illustration. Okay? So, sabi doon, si employer can claim 40,000 as deduction. Okay? So, sabi dito, si employer cannot claim the pera tax credit on its contribution. So, sa employee naman tayong part. So, kapag ikaw naman si employee, so, di ba may contribution siya na 60,000. So, in effect, yung 60,000 na yun, siya po ay taxable. Bakit po? Kasi, sabi sa number 6 natin, employer's contribution lang. So, kapag si employee, meron siya kinontribute, so hindi po yun exclusion sa gross income. Kasama pa rin yun doon. Okay? Sabi doon yung 60,000, pera contribution, ni employee ay kasama pa rin sa gross income. Okay? Sabi doon yung 60,000 ay kasama sa gross income. Pero, meron namang sinabi doon kanina na merong 5% na tax credit. Okay? So, yung 60,000 na pera contribution ni employee na kasama sa gross income as taxable is pwede siya mag-claim ng 5% na nakabase doon na tax credit. So, meron din naman pala nag-offset, no? And then, merong isa pa. So, yung 40,000 na employer's contribution na napuno niya yung 100,000. So, yung 40,000 na yun po, in the point of view ni employee, siya naman po ay exclusion sa gross income ni employee. Okay, so yun lang po yung tatandaan natin ha. Si employer's contribution to pera account ay exclusion sa gross income ng employee up to the amount na mapupuno yung maximum allowable contribution sa pera ng isang employee, per account ng isang employee. Okay? So, proceed tayo sa pangpito po, no? Pangpito sa miscellaneous item. So, seventh item natin is, yan, exempt daw or exclusion sa gross income ang pera, yung na-mention na natin kanina, pera investment income, and distribution. So, yung investment income, ibig sabihin, ito yung earnings dun sa pera account mo. No? So ibig sabihin, yung mga pera investment income pala ay exclusion from gross income. Okay? And also, meron din tayo dito, pera distributions, exclusion din siya sa gross income. So, ano po yung pera distributions? Ayan po, nakalagay na dyan. So, kapag yung pera account assets daw, ay dinistribute na dun sa mga nag-contribute, like yung mga employee, no? Yung may-ari ng account. So, sabi, yung pera account assets daw, kapag in-distribute na siya sa contributors niya, upon reaching the age of 55, or earlier than that kung namatay na. So, so exempted yun or exclusion sa gross income, yung distributions ng assets na yun. Okay? So, yun lang ibig sabihin doon. So, next tayo, number 8. So, sa number 8, under exclusion from gross income is what we call 13th month pay and other benefits not exceeding 90,000 pesos. So, detailed discussion of this will be discussed in Chapter 10, Compensation Income. Okay? So, next tayo, number 9, gains from sale of bonds, debentures, or certificates of indebtedness with maturity of more than 5 years. So, bakit kaya more than 5 years para maging exempt from tax? So, grounded kasi ito sa kapag we read the sabi doon grounded to sa assumption na yung long-term indebtedness is diverted to financing long-term projects na in effect viewed as beneficial sa improvement or development ng country natin. So, yun yung reason na kapag meron kang gain sa sale of bonds na merong maturity of more than 5 years is, po siya, exclusion from gross income. Hindi siya subject doon. Okay? But, take note din, no? Nakalagay doon, naka-highlight din. The term gain in this number 9 does not include interest. Okay, hindi dapat kasama yung interest dun sa gain na yan. So if we move sa next illustration, no, meron ditong problem. So on September 1, 2021, an individual taxpayer sold a 6-year term bond investment. So pumasok siya dun sa sinasabi natin na more than 5, no, for 1.1 million. Okay, so meron daw siyang binenta, 1.1 million. And then sabi doon, yung bonds daw na yun, merong interest. So interest bearing siya na ang interest niya is 12%. Payable every year-end or December 31. And then sabi doon, previously daw, binili niya yun at 1 million face value lang. Which is, binabili niya first day of the year, January 1. So, the gain on sale on this, so 'di ba, minention nga yung yung interest rate, no? So, ang gain or loss dito, so yung selling price, syempre yun yung base natin. So, 1.1 million na mention kanina. So, ngayon, ang ibabawas mo sa kanya is kung magkano mo siya nabili nung January, magkano mo siya nabili? Sabi dun, 'di ba, nabili mo siya at face value 1 million. Pero kapag hindi mo kasi pinansin yung interest dito, hindi mo binawas. 'Di ba kasi sabi doon, yung gain daw does not include interest. So, pag di mo binawas yung interest, in effect, parang ang ma-exempt mo dito, 1.1 minus 1 million, so parang naging exempt mo 100,000. Pero as per ruling nga, 'di ba, yung gain na tinutukoy dito sa sale of bonds, hindi dapat kasama yung interest. Kaya ang nangyari, accrued interest of which January 1 yung date up to September 1 is tinanggal natin yun dun sa binawas din natin siya sa selling price para makuha yung gain. So in effect, ang gain lang niya na natanggal na natin yung interest is 20,000. So in effect, 20,000 lang po yung excluded or exempted sa taxation natin, income tax. Okay? So ganun siya. Dapat yung interest, hindi mo siya sinasama sa pag-compute ng gain. Dapat net yun sa gain. Okay? Okay? So proceed tayo. Number 10. So, sa number 10, we also have here, no? Sabi dyan, gains from redemption of mutual fund. Putol yan eh. Meron pa yung sa next end. Mutual fund shares. I think, ayan. Share sa dulo. Sabi doon, ayan. Gains daw from redemption or selling your mutual fund shares are exclusions from gross income. So, before we proceed, ano po ba kasi yung mutual fund, ma'am? So, sabi dito, mutual fund company is an open and closed-end investment company defined in the Investment Company Act. So, parang mutual fund, ito yung fund na nagpuput kayo doon ng investment na in which meron yung goal na mag-earn siya ng income and then distribute siya dun sa mga nag-invest din dun sa certain fund na yan. So, sa Investment Company Act, dinefine siya doon. So, kung gusto nyo tingnan, so, punta kayo sa Republic Act 1960, you can look it up sa internet. No. So, yun siya, yun yung mutual fund company. So, sabi dito, any gain, pag nagbenta ka ng shares mo sa isang mutual fund is exclusion from gross income. Bakit po ganun? Kasi sabi dito, this exemption is to mitigate or to reduce double taxation. Kasi ang mutual fund kasi, any income ng mutual fund ay subject siya sa final tax. So, in effect, parang natax mo na siya ng nataksan, tapos nung binenta mo, tataksan mo pa uli. So, yun yung reason kaya sinama siya as exclusion na from gross income. Kasi nga, nung nag-earn pa lang yung fund nyo, is natataksan na siya at final tax at source. Okay? So, if you look again sa discussion dito sa illustration natin, sa example dito, si taxpayer, bumili siya 10,000 shares from Silver Dragon Mutual Fund. And then, ang value daw nun, nung bumili siya ay 120 net asset value. Okay? And then, si taxpayer, binenta niya na, niredeem niya na yung share niya, nung ang value na nung share niya is 180. So, kung 180 yun na yung value niya, before naman ay 120, so in effect, tumaas ng 60. So, yung 60 na yun, multiply mo kung ilan yung shares niya, 10, so sabihin, 600,000 yung gain niya. So, pasok siya dun sa ano natin na exclusion siya from taxation since redemption or sale of mutual fund shares are exempted from taxation since they are already taxed, final tax at source. Okay, so yun yung ibig sabihin nun. Okay po. So, proceed tayo sa, I think this will be the last one under miscellaneous item, which is what we call M. Income derived from sale of gold pursuant to RA 7076 or the People's Small Scale Mining Act of 1991. So, di ba alam naman natin, gold is one of the most highly precious commodity natin dito sa bansa or sa any country. Precious yun as a commodity. So, before kasi, nung hindi pa masyado malinaw yung ruling no sa taxation ng sale of goods or etc. So before, yung mga nagbebenta kasi ng gold is misinformed sila sa taxation policies regarding sale of gold. Kaya yung iba, binebenta na lang nila sa black market, unregistered traders and the likes para hindi sila mataksan. Kasi nga iniisip nila na malaki ang tax sa sale of gold na kaya iniiwasan din nila. So, nung ganun kasi yung kaso is si Philippines, so wala na nga sila nakukuha tax, wala din sila nakukuha gold. That's why uh, Congress finally granted yung long suggested exemption. So, pag binasa niyo yung small scale mining output through Republic Act 11256. So makikita nyo doon may new setup doon na exempted naman sa tax, no? Yung nag-sellers of gold. Pero at a certain requisites. And also, bakit may ganun? Ba't may exemption sa sale ng gold? Kasi, ang goal na lang doon is, though walang tax, at least, di ba, possible magbenta yung seller kay Bangko Sentral. So, si Philippines makukuha niya yung gold, pero yun nga lang, wala nga lang tax, no? So, yun yung parang pinaka, ano talaga doon, uh, thought, no? So, proceed tayo dun sa na-mention ko kanina may requisites. Hindi lang basta seller ka ng gold is excluded na sa gross income yung sales mo nun. So, meron tayong requisites, two requisites. So, point of view is seller requisite and at the same time buyer requisite. Okay? So, sa requisites natin, so sa seller requisites, either of these two lang dapat para pwede kang ma-exclude sa gross income yung sale mo ng gold. So first, dapat registered small scale miner ka or registered ka or accredited na gold trader. So pag sinabing registered small scale miner, so yun yung mga Filipino citizen, individual man yan or co-op na licensed by Mines and Geosciences Bureau to engage in SSM contract or small scale mining contract. Okay? While registered gold traders naman, so sila yung mga engaged sila sa buying and selling of gold na in compliant naman sa accreditation procedures ni Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So, kapag nandan sa dalawa, yung seller mo, so possible kang ma-exclude sa gross income. Possible pa lang kasi meron pang isang requisite na dapat ma-meet. Okay? So, ang buyer mo dapat is either Bangko Sentral of the Philippines lang or registered gold traders. Okay? So, yun lang yung pwedeng buyer. So, kapag wala dyan sa dalawang yan, hindi na po ma-exclude sa gross income kahit registered SSM ka pa or gold trader. Okay? So, yung buyers kasi kapag hindi sila BSP or registered gold traders, ang tawag na sa kanila ay black market. So, yun yung mga gold hoarders, jewelers, etc. na hindi naman sila BSP or registered gold traders. Okay? So, yun siya. So, ano po yung SSM contract? So, na-mention ko kanina, no? Yung mga registered SSM is engaged sila sa SSM contract. So, yung SSM or small scale mining contract, so ito daw po ay co-production, joint venture, or mineral production sharing agreement between the government and small scale mining contractors inside a small scale mining area o kaya minahang bayan. So, other term for that. Okay? So, if we look sa ano natin, no, sa examples dito, hindi ko na lang para i-expound pa lahat siya kasi medyo madami. Pero, ang pinaka-thought lang doon, kapag yung sellers wala dun sa dalawang yan, matik, hindi na yun ma-exclude sa gross income. Or, pwedeng nandun sa dalawa, pero yung buyers naman ay wala sa BSP or registered gold trader. So, in effect, again, magiging inclusion pa rin yun sa gross income kasi dapat ma-meet niya both to. Yung seller, either of the two, yung buyer, either of these two lang. Okay, kaya pag tinignan niyo may example dito, ayan, so dun tayo sa, wait lang. So, punta tayo sa illustration number 5, page 270. So, nakalagay dyan. So, Highland Miners Mining Co-op is a cooperative organization. So, in-establish siya and operated by small-scale miners with the mining area registered as a minahang bayan. So, medyo madami na siyang na-checkan dun sa sinabi natin kanina. So, sabi doon, during the years, HMMC nag-earn daw siya ng 900 million peso selling gold to Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. So, ang tanong, exclusion ba from gross income or hindi? So, ang sagot po ay exclusion or exempt. Bakit po? Kasi, yun, di ba sabi, ano siya, mining co-op na ang nag-operate ay small-scale miner. So, nag-check na siya dito sa registered small-scale miner. So, sino ba yung buyer niya? Sabi, ang buyer daw niya ay si BSP. So, again, na-checkan niya yung requisite. So, in effect, exempted si Highline Miners Mining Co-op. Okay, so yun lang. Tandaan nyo lang yung dalawang requisite na to. Yun na kayo mamamali dyan. Okay? So, that ends yung sa miscellaneous items natin na exclusion from gross income. So, next naman tayo is yung other exempt income under the National Internal Revenue Code and Special Law. So, ito, medyo na-mention na natin siya nung na-mention na natin siya nung nag-discuss tayo sa gross income, yung theory about gross income. Di ba meron dun not exempt by law? So ito yon, ito yung mga other exempt income under the NIRC and special laws. So we have here 7 lang naman, no? So first on the list, we have minimum wage and certain benefits of minimum wage earners. So alam naman natin, di ba? So kapag minimum wage earner ka kasi, so ibig sabihin, yung wage mo is at a minimum na naka-state sa Regional Tripartite Productivity Wage and Productivity Board of the DOLE. Okay? So, si minimum wage earner, ang tawag sa kanya, yun nga, recipient of minimum wage under fixed dun sa sinabi ko kanina. Okay? So, exemption dito, hindi lang siya minimum wage na basic salary. So, extended yung exemption na to hanggang holiday pay, OT pay, night shift differential, and hazard pay nung certain minimum wage earner na yan. Na, again, malidiscuss natin siya in detail sa Chapter 10, Compensation Income. So, next tayo, number 2. Ayan, so number 2, ito nagkaroon lang nito nung nag-pandemic, no? So, number 2 natin is COVID-19 benefits under Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. Okay, so under Republic Act 11494, so nakalagay doon yung exempt special benefits ng mga health workers. Okay? So, we have here major, tatlo lang naman. So, una, what they call COVID-19 Special Risk Allowance. So, ito, binibigay ito monthly sa private and public health workers na directly in contact sa COVID-19 patients. Okay? Next, actual hazard pay. So, ito naman given to temporary human resource for health or HRH serving in frontline during COVID-19 state of emergency. Okay, so ito yung nangyari sa amin noon nung nagkaroon ng lockdown and then we need to really work still sa office since nandun yung mga documents na need para ma-process ng payments, etc., etc. So, in effect, yun, nagkaroon kami ng actual hazard actual hazard pay. Actual hazard pay na yun, exempted siya sa taxation or sa income tax. Kasi yun naman ay in effect benefit kasi nagbayani ka. Nagpakabayani ka. Na, charis. Okay, so yun yung pangalawa. Actual hazard pay. And then yung lastly, compensation to health workers who contracted or who nagkaroon ng COVID as declared by the President. So, meron niyang tatlo, no? So, in case mamatay yung certain health worker na yon, so, he or she will be given 1 million. So, exempt sa tax yun. Next, kapag nakakuha siya ng COVID pero hindi naman siya namatay, pero naging critical or severe lang, so makakatinggap naman siya 100,000. Again, tax exempt yun. And then lastly, kapag mild lang naman or moderate yung sickness niya dahil dun sa COVID-19, so in effect, 15,000 lang yung ma-receive niya na again, exempt from tax yan. Okay? So next tayo, number 3. So number 3 naman natin, is income of BMBE or Barangay Micro Business Enterprise Act under Republic Act 9178. So, ito yung na-mention na natin before. So, BMBE, so ano ba si BMBE? Isa siyang business entity na engaged sa production, processing, manufacturing of products or commodities whose assets exclusive of land do not exceed 3 million. So, ito parang in effect, parang barangay, micro business. So, maliliit na business lang siya na mainly, hindi siya professional mga services. So, mainly ang nandun is production talaga. Processing, manufacturing ng mga products, yung mga simpleng product, no? Ng mga micro businesses, no? So, yun, sabi doon, take note ha, yung assets daw, exclusive of land, so tatanggalin mo yung land, basta hindi siya lumagpas ng 3 million. Dapat lalagpas doon yung asset with exclusive of the land, yung asset ni BMBE. Okay? So, sabi dito, sabi dito, to qualify na as BMBE ang isang business, so hindi dapat daw siya branch or subsidiary ng isang malaking enterprise. And also, dapat mag-apply siya at makasecure siya ng COA or Certificate of Authority para mag-operate as BMBE. Okay? So, saan niya kukunin yun? Sa Office of Treasurer of the City or Municipality. Okay? Ayan. So, dito papasok din yung na-mention natin before na annual information return. So, if you are a BMBE kasi, since you are exempted, you don't need to file an ITR since you will be paying nothing. No. Since you are exempted, you are only required to file an annual information return. Okay? Again, that's a requirement. Hindi siya pwedeng hindi ipasa. Kasi pag di mo siya pinasa, doon na papasok yung discuss natin last time, penalties are waving at you. Okay? So, may mga instances na kung BMBE ka na, pwedeng ma-revoke or ma-cancel yung pagka-BMBE mo. So, that's for you to read under page 273. So, pag tinignan nyo naman, ano lang yan? So, yung mga qualification mo, parang ano ka lang, hindi ka na naka-abide doon. Example, yung naka-place ka sa business na ganito, ay sa place na ganito. Eh, di ba pag doon yung place mo, doon ka mag-a-apply. So, pag lumipat ka ng business, so malamang sa malamang, yung ano mo din, yung exemption dapat mawala na din yun. Kasi lumipat ka na ng area in which hindi ka na naman doon naka-register as BMBE. So, yun. Example pa din doon is, for example, sinurrender mo yung certificate of authority mo. So again, since wala ka ng certificate of authority, hindi ka na pwedeng mag-continue pa as BMBE. Isa pang example noon is false or fake yung documents mo. So, and then isa pa doon is nag-exceed na sa 3 million yung value ng assets mo. So, yun yung some of the items in which you will be disqualified as a BMBE. Na, so it's for you to read page 273, revocation of BMBE tax exemption. Okay? So, next naman tayo, number 4, income of cooperatives and non-stock non-profit entities. So, ano ba po yung cooperatives? So, familiar naman tayo doon, mga co-op, no? So, ang sabi dito, kapag si co-op daw, nagtatransact siya ng business purely with members, so in effect, exempt siya from all taxes and fees. Okay? While kapag nagtatransaction ng business even with non-members, so still exempt pa din daw yun, pero with a restriction na. So, still exempt yun kapag yung accumulated reserve niya or undivided savings, hindi daw lalagpas ng 10 million. Okay? Pero take note, kasi diba na-mention natin purely with members and pwede din with non-members. So, meron kasing scenario din na merong income si co-op pero from non-related sources niya. Kumbaga, hindi yung usual niya talagang reason kung ba't siya ginawang co-op. Kumbaga, parang accidental na, no? So, malayo na siya dun sa naka-register mo. So, kapag gano'n, mayroong income si co-op na from non-related sources, yun po ay fully taxable to regular tax. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung exemption pala is hindi siya mag-extend up to buong income talaga ni co-op. So, pwede siyang, ano lang, dapat yung related sources lang siya. Okay? Next, so under din ng number 4, na-mention yung non-stock non-profit entities. So, non-stock non-profit entities, ito yung mga entities na hindi organized for profit. So, since hindi naman siya organized for profit, so in effect, exempt siya from income tax. However, again, katulad lang nung sa co-op kanina, kapag from unrelated sources, however, taxable dapat siya. Okay? So, take note of that. Okay? And then, fifth naman tayo, no? Fifth, under other exempt income. So, we have income of qualified employee trust funds and pera accounts. So, yung na-mention kanina yung pera accounts. So, yung mga income nun, again, exempted yun sa income tax. Okay? So, next tayo, income of, ayan, so dun tayo sa, ano pala, Qualified Employee Trust Fund. Ano po yung Qualified Employee Trust Fund? So, ito po ay trust fund ni employee which forms part of a pension, stock bonus, or profit sharing plan of an employer for the benefit of some or all his employees is exempt from any income tax under NIRC. So, in effect, so ang meron dito si Employee Remuneration Trust Fund na, yun nga, nagpa-form siya as pension, stock bonus, profit sharing plan ni employer na nag-enter dun si employer solely naman for the purpose of his employees. Kumaga, binigyan niya lang ng benefit yung taon niya. So, in effect, income from qualified employee trust funds are exempted from or exclusion from gross income. Okay? Pero, yun nga, may condition yon yung sa QETF natin na na-mention, no? Ang condition doon, dapat daw it is made to the trust by such employer or employees or both for the purpose of distributing. And lastly, assets or funds shall not be diverted to for other purposes. So, if you review again, yung na-mention ko na exemption, yung exemption po pala is, ang condition lang niya is dapat hindi mo siya, yung asset, hindi mo siya ginagamit for other purposes. Dapat dun lang talaga sa benefit ng employees. Kasi nga, kaya employee trust funds. And then yung isa pa, dapat daw is, ang pinaka-purpose talaga is distributing to the employees. Okay, so yun yung conditions nila for exemption. Okay, and I think this is my last slide under exclusion from gross income under exempt income under the NRC and special laws. So, last natin, number 6 and number 7. So, number 6 natin, yeah, lifetime monthly gratuity to Medal of Valor awardee. So, Medal of Valor awardee is, I think, limited lang to sa Armed Forces of the Philippines. So, ito yung parang highest honor, badge of honor, na can be given to a certain military or parang armed force. So, dahil nag-execute siya ng bravery and pagiging heroic in excess dun sa required dun sa job niya. Okay? So, kapag nakatanggap ka ng kapag Medal of Valor awardee ka, magkakaroon ka ng gratuity or parang reward monthly for a lifetime. So, yun po ay exempt. Okay? So, I think ang pinaka-usual as per book, no, 20,000 siya per month na binibigay dun sa awardee, and then kung wala na si awardee, pwedeng dun sa heirs niya or family niya related dun. Okay? So, 20,000 yun, exempt yun. And then lastly, number 7, business or professional income of self-employed and or professionals who opted to the 8% income tax. So, meron kasi dito, no, pwede kang pag ikaw ay self-employed or a professional, you can opt or you can choose na taksan ka at your gross 8%. Okay? Kasi 'di ba sa ano natin, progressive kasi yung sa income tax natin eh. Progressive siya. So ikaw kung tingin mo mas mapapamura ka kapag ah, tax ka na lang 8% sa gross mo. So, I think you should choose that. Pero pag hindi, edi progressive ka talaga. So, yan. So, yun yung ibig sabihin dito, no? Kaya wala na siya kaya exclusion na siya from gross income kasi parang inag-opt ka na at gross 8% mo siya. So, si 8% kasi na to, in line na siya sa 3% percentage tax tsaka sa progressive income tax mo. So, in effect, parang 8% ka lang talaga tataksan. Okay? And then, excluded ka na sa gross income mo. Okay? So, yun siya. So, kung kanina pala, no, sa BMBE required ang Certificate of Authority. So, yung co-op pala kanina, hindi siya ma-exempt kung hindi siya nag-avail or nag-secure ng Certificate of Tax Exemption. Okay? And then, ang exemption, take note ha, prospective ang operation niya. So, kunwari, nataksan ka ngayon, nag-apply ka ng Certificate of Tax, hindi na para i-claim mo na dapat tax exempted ka before ma-approve yung CTE mo. Okay, so ano siya, prospective siya. Kung kailan ka na-approve yung CTE mo, kung kailan ka naka-secure, prospective or moving forward pa yung exemption mo. Hindi ka para bumalik mag-adjust-adjust. Okay? So, yun siya. So, I think that ends our chapter 8 na, which is exclusion from gross income. Okay? So, I'll be recording the next natin, which is chapter 9, which is inclusion naman from gross income subject to regular tax. So, that's all for chapter 8. So, sagot tayo ng MC. Okay? Thank you.